Also on the program, here's a couple of guys that know everything about the world of sports, and my God, what better time to have them here than tonight. From ESPN Radio, Mike Golic and Mike Greenberg joining us. Team of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike. MG and MG.
Because that Mel Torkelson likes to be poignant.
He is, yeah.
This guy is nothing if not poignant.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to, by God, the World Series. This is I can really enjoy this World Series because when you have a team that you're rooting for in the World Series, you get upset and you get angry if things aren't going well. But when you have teams in the World Series you don't care about, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just good old-fashioned fun.
Yeah, so good for us.
Right. There you go, a little Jamaican music.
In honor of
That's exactly right.
Daughter.
Her daughter, yeah. All right, next guest co-hosts the very popular ESPN radio program entitled Mike and Mike in the Morning. Please welcome Mike Golic and Mike Greenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you both for being here. Mike, you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then Mike, you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the radio show, they certainly a sports station, so they wanted an athlete. Right. So, you know, played football at Notre Dame, then played 9 years.
Who was your coach at Notre Dame?
Jerry Faust.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. He was there for the very brief period of time in which Notre Dame absolutely stunk.
We call those the dark years.
But Jerry Faust, as I recall, was a very, very successful high school coach.
He was. Jerry was a fantastic guy. Right. He was a fantastic guy who got a chance to coach at the place he wanted to coach. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. And unfortunately, it was during my 4 years there.
Yeah. Do you remember the record with Jerry Faust?
My record? Absolutely,
his
absolutely
record.
not. Yeah. Absolutely
and
not.
then
after
Notre Dame, he went on to coach the Akron Zips.
He coached the Akron Zips. He went that way, and I ended up going to the NFL for a few years.
You played with the 3 teams?
I played with 3 teams, and so they were
run them down for us.
I played for the Houston Oilers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Miami Dolphins.
There you go. Good for you. And Mike, I'm sorry we don't have time for you.
That's how I like it.
It's the story of my life.
How did you guys get together?
I was thrown off the Stuyvesant High School chess team for being too unathletic. And so they wound up throwing us together because you need a ball player, and we couldn't do any better than him. And then you need someone who's a fan, because the reality is, Dave, you know, the players, they come and go, but we're still sitting there. I'm still sitting in my seat, so that's what I do.
All right, and we're right now, I think the World Series is pretty good, don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I would have preferred a New York team in the contest, but, you know, I haven't seen Detroit play in 20 years since the last time they were in the World Series, so it's fun to see their new stadium and see their new team. I'm pretty excited about that.
It's nice to see all the pine tar that they brought to this World Series.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to see that.
Someone's going to get a pine tar deal, you know that for sure. And oddly enough, Detroit hasn't seen themselves play in the World Series in that long.
But the pine tar thing is nothing, right? It's absolutely nothing.
I don't think it's anything. Now, again, this is the player and geek, I mean non-player way we look at it, is it's kind of accepted. It's an accepted thing. Players do it at different positions as well, and everybody kind of accepts it. It's somewhat like in my sport in football. There's holding on every play, but it's not called if it's not really involved in the play. In basketball, I mean, when's the last time they called traveling in basketball?
Exactly.
It's a rule,
but
they don't really enforce it. So this is kind of the same thing. Everybody does it, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, and in terms of an advantage, what advantage was it giving him? Better grip in the cold temperatures?
Absolutely. It helps him grip the ball in the cold temperature, and also you could actually use it to a greater advantage than that if you tried to. My feeling on this thing, Dave, is if it doesn't make any difference, and if everyone is doing it, why is it a rule in the first place? This is the argument we had on our show this morning. If you're not going to enforce the rule, then just take the rule out of there and let them do it. Let them use the pine tar, let them do whatever they want to do with the baseball.
Yeah, but this has got to be the least of baseball's worries now, don't you think?
Well, let me tell you what, if this is all baseball's talking about Bud Selig, the commissioner is very happy, believe me.
Yeah. And in terms of the steroids and baseball, I noticed during the World Series they run anti-steroid messages, PSAs during this, and I thought, I guess that makes sense. I mean, is it a little too late? Is it a little hypocritical?
Well, it all depends on what they do going forward. I mean, in my sport, the NFL, we had a steroid policy long before baseball did, so baseball jumped into it. And I think people are more interested in the baseball and steroids because, and you're a sports fan, you know the baseball numbers are so hallowed. Hank Aaron's number is hallowed. Roger Maris, before that, got broken by Bonds and by McGuire and by Sosa, and now the cloud hanging over their head as being steroid users. Oh my gosh, you're messing with the numbers in baseball. I mean, that's a sin. That's why it's not cared as much about in football.
Well, for example, if Barry Bonds prevails and goes ahead and sets the all-time home run record, will people look at that? Will people look at that and wink? Will he go to the Hall of Fame? I mean, what'll happen there?
I am firmly of the opinion that they should either put an asterisk next to his name in the record book or strike him from it completely. I never get any support from this guy on that.
They'll never strike it. They'll never strike it at all. And I think the reason why he's going to go into the Hall of Fame, I think he will.
I think he will not, by the way. The Hall of Fame is voted on by baseball writers, and I don't think that the members of the Baseball Writers Association of America will vote Barry Bonds in. We'll find out at the beginning of that next year because Mark McGuire will be eligible next year, and I don't think he's going to get in.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think he'll get in?
I do not. I do not think
it seems to me that, well, now that you've said that, I guess this isn't true, but it seems like Mark McGuire sort of went unnoticed through all of this. Is that because he retired and then Barry Bonds came to the fore with the...
Well, that's exactly right. He got out, and then the whole steroid policy came into play, and then you had the congressional hearings. That's what killed McGuire. He kept wanting to talk about the future, not wanting to go into the past, and everybody really saw through that, and it really kind of put him in a bad light.
So what does this say about the sport? What does it say about the Hall of Fame? If you're right, then you have the all-time hit leader not in the Hall of Fame and the all-time home run leader not in the Hall of Fame.
Because baseball has a lot of skeletons in their closet, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it is an embarrassment. I know you had the top 10 the other night where you said Pete Rose says that you're a disgrace to baseball, and it was a very funny line. But that really is what you have. You have a lot of Pete Rose's supporters saying he didn't cheat the game in the way that these guys cheated the game. If they get in the Hall of Fame, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
But for as long as there's been competition, there have always been athletes looking for an advantage, and this is just an extension of that.
Players will always try to push the envelope and go past the envelope, and it happened back in the day in baseball as well. People think that it was completely clean back then. Now, you don't have available back then what you have today, but everybody looked for a loophole. Everybody looked, what's going to give me that edge in all sports, and it goes on today, and it will go on forever. That's one of the things Greeny and I yell about all the time about the rules. Players are always going to look for the loophole, look for what will give them an advantage, because there's a lot of money involved, and it's the entities, the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, have to find ways to crack down and find the right testing.
Let's go to football now. What about Terrell Owens? We're tired of Terrell Owens. It's not worth talking about anymore.
It'd be nice if he went to practice every now and again. He complains a lot about never getting a ball thrown at him, but if Drew Bledsoe could identify him other than by his number, it might be easy for him to throw to him if he would show up at practice.
He's the most talked about athlete out there, but he brings a lot of it on himself. I mean, he wants the spotlight on him, and when it's on him too brightly, sometimes he says, well, wait a minute, I didn't ask for that. Well, yes, he did. I come at it as a former player, former defensive player. This is how it is in the locker room, Dave. It's split. There's defensive side, offensive side. This is what the defensive players do. They sit on their side and they say, whew, glad I don't have to hang around and work with that guy. Just go score touchdowns. I don't care what else you do. It's not bugging my world. Just go score touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, when he's on the field, he's pretty darn good.
And in terms of who will win the World Series now, back to baseball?
I have the Tigers in 6. I think the American League was definitively better than the American League all year long. And I would have taken any American League team to beat any National League team. I have the Tigers in 6.
He's basing this again on his chess experiences in high school, which he was cut from. I have the Cardinals in 6. Well, you know what? I think they flipped the switch well from the end of a regular season. I think they did a nice job. The pitching really picked up, and good pitching always beats good hitting.
What a surprise Game 7 was with the Mets, huh? Because that seemed to me like statistically, historically, there was no way the Mets could lose that game.
And I tell you what, the guy, Andy Chavez, who makes that catch in left field, if they win that game, that becomes one of the most famous plays in the history of baseball. That goes right there with the famous Willie Mays catch on Vic Wertz and some of the others. Unfortunately, because they don't win the game, it sort of goes by the wayside.
One of the greatest athletic plays I've seen in any sport.
Good to see you guys. Congratulations on what? Did you win something? Congratulations.
No, we won absolutely nothing.
All right, well, congratulations. Congratulations on whatever is going on. Mike?
Thank you.
Mike, nice stuff. Mike and Mike, ladies and gentlemen. We're right back with the Killers.